Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast focusing on e-commerce topics featuring interviews with prominent people in the e-commerce space.
This is E-Commerce Conversations by Practical E-Commerce, and I'm Kerry Murdoch. Merchants contemplating mobile-optimized sites may also consider specialized mobile site search. SLI Systems is a leading provider of e-commerce site search solutions, and that company has just launched a mobile search option. Sean Ryan is the CEO of SLI Systems, and he's here to discuss mobile commerce and mobile search. Well, Sean, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Kerry. Thanks for having me on here today.
Sean, tell us, why does an e-commerce site that's got a mobile-optimized version, why do they need special mobile-optimized site search?
Well, for the same reasons you need a mobile optimized version of your site. You want to make sure that your site search is optimized for the mobile devices. I'm sure you're familiar with site search today. It can be quite a complicated beast. There's often a lot of refinement options, a lot of sort options. There may be, your results may be in a grid format that just wouldn't fit into the smaller screen. So you need to make sure the presentation of the search is optimized for that smaller screen, so that your visitors can see, the products that they're looking for, without having to zoom in and pan around.
Let's talk about how the mobile search is different than traditional search, if I can use those terms, mobile versus traditional. The first question would be, how does your system detect that someone is a user or a consumer is on a mobile device? How does it know to, when they search, to sort of default to the mobile optimized results versus traditional?
Well, that's normally done by customers on their web server. When someone goes to their regular site, they detect that it's the mobile device using the sort of standard techniques of looking at the user agent, etc. And they then send them to their mobile optimized site, and then from then the search is pointing to the mobile optimized search. So the detection of the device is already done by the e-commerce site itself as the hosted site search solution, and their mobile site will then just point to our mobile search. So there's no detection needed to be done on our behalf, because people are already coming from the mobile optimized site to our site search. So that part of it's fairly straightforward. And I think it's worth saying that on a mobile site, you have very little room, obviously, for a lot of navigation options that you do on your regular site. So the site search ends up being a really important part of that whole experience, but because search provides a way of you accessing potentially a huge catalogue very quickly in a way that would be difficult to do through navigating when you can't have a whole lot of navigational options on a screen. If you go to somewhere like Amazon, you'll notice that on their mobile site, it's dominated by the search. And so you need to pay a lot of careful attention to your search when you're designing your mobile experience for your visitors.
Are there separate kind of back-end management consoles on your solution, Sean, for merchants managing mobile search versus traditional search? And I'm thinking things like fuzzy matching, preferred products, different types of analytics tracking. Is it essentially two separate site searches that a merchant manages there?
No, at this stage, it's pretty much the same. There can be some things that can be specific to the mobile. For example, one of the features of our site search allows you to put banners on search results pages to help merchandise a particular keyword. You may want to have a banner that can consist of any sort of arbitrary HTML associated with that keyword. Now, you'd want to have different banners on your mobile search than you would on your core site search product. So there is the ability to sort of merchandise differently on your mobile search as opposed to your regular search. The other differences may be, it may be that you have a smaller index or a different, you're sort of searching through your different products on your site. But for the most part, our customers are, a visitor expects to be able to find the same content on the mobile site as they do on the regular site. And so our e-commerce customers are typically showing, the index is common. And the nice thing about that is all the effort you go to optimizing your site search on your regular site, you'll then get a benefit of that on your mobile site. And so the efforts you put into optimizing the relevance, tuning the results, etc., will also be reflected on your mobile site as well as on your regular site.
Are you finding that mobile search users, those search habits or search patterns are very similar to traditional site search? Are there any differences that would cause merchants to want to sort of refine site search for the mobile in a different way than they would do traditional with the experience you've had to date?
Well, to tell you the truth, it really is early days for this. We just launched our product about 3 weeks ago, and we've been building up mobile search across a sort of a handful of our early adopter customers, I suppose you'd call them. So we really are working out the best practices for mobile search. One of the core differences is being able to provide some of the same functionality that you have on a regular search without taking up a lot of space. For example, you may have a whole lot of different refinement options. For example, to refine by category or manufacturer or color. If you were to show all of those options on the mobile search, it would dominate the page, and your products would be pushed way down below the fold. So we've developed a technique where the refinements can just take up one line, and when you click on a refinement, it expands them so you can see the refinement, the broad types of refinements you can do. For example, category, manufacturer, color, price, etc. Then you can click on one of those. So the same functionality is there, but it's just sort of hidden away so it doesn't take up much space.
That makes sense. Now, you mentioned your solution, SLI Systems, your company for which you're the CEO of. Your mobile solution you launched last month, I believe, if I'm understanding that correctly. Is that right?
Well, I believe it was early this month at the Internet Retailer Mobile Show.
So obviously they would have to be an existing SLI customer to use the mobile search function, I would think. Yeah,
well, we could build a mobile search for someone who's not an existing SLI customer, but for an existing SLI customer, we already have all the data. They've already put the effort into setting up their search exactly the way they want it. So it's essentially a different template. And so the product is around this set of best practices on how to display and run a mobile search. And this is something that's, we've just launched and is going to evolve as we sort of enhance those best practices through experience across all of our customers. So the core parts to it are obviously a cut-down version of the search that makes it easy to see the products on a mobile device, so you can see several products above the fold. Typically, when you do your search, we've got this way of doing the refinements that doesn't take up much space. We push the related searches and the pagination, the sort options all down to the bottom of the page, again, so that the focus is on the relevant products at the top. For most of our implementations, we've integrated with the reviews still, so we'll still show like the ratings below each search result. Because again, I think reading ratings and reviews is an important use case on a mobile device. If someone may be in a store and look up the product and want to read those reviews about the product, it's something they couldn't otherwise do in the store, but they can if they've got their mobile device there.
Generally speaking, the percentage of visitors to an e-commerce site on a traditional browser that use site search, does that percentage hold for mobile visitors? That same percentage generally will use mobile search. Is it more or less or about the same, or are you not sure?
I'm not sure, but my instinct tells me that there'll be more people searching on a mobile device because you don't have the same navigational options. You don't have room for the same navigation options on a mobile device, and so people tend to gravitate towards search because they're front and center on your mobile homepage, and there's just less options to find the products otherwise, and it's a very efficient way, especially if you've got relevant search results. It's a very efficient way of getting to what you want to see on the store.
One last question for you, Sean, would be the convergence of traditional and mobile. So at what point would you say, are those two essentially the same? And I'm thinking about an iPad. So for an iPad-type device, would you consider that a mobile search, or would you consider that a traditional search? Or
it's a very good question, and something we asked our customers in the respondents to a survey we did earlier this year. Do you consider the iPad to be a mobile device? And they were fairly evenly split. Most sites I see treat the iPad screen as a regular computer screen, so they don't have an iPad optimized version, or they don't send people to the mobile optimized version of their site. However, it comes down to a matter of, and normally the iPad is actually, in my opinion, good enough that you don't need to have a mobile optimized version of the results. Although I personally used to think that about the iPhone as well. But I see recently, in fact this week, I think Amazon brought out a iPad optimized version of the website. So I think for a retailer, it comes down to a matter of resources. If you're seeing there's a large number of your visitors on the iPad, then it may be worthwhile, coming up with an iPad optimized version of your website as well. I don't think you want to send them to the same site you'd send them to if they're on an iPhone or some other phone, but because that really is optimized for a much, much smaller screen. It's going to come down to a matter of how many resources you have to spend on optimizing this to see whether you'll get the return on investment on optimizing for the iPad. But it's definitely worth taking a look at, and you should definitely be looking at your regular site on your iPad to see how well it functions. There are some things such as you may have mouse over functionality that you just can't replicate on the iPad because you don't have that sense of the mouse.
Sean, we have just another minute or two left. Anything else on your mind today relating to mobile commerce, mobile search?
It is still early days for mobile, but I recommend that retailers sort of dip their toes in the water, so to speak, if they haven't already. There's still a large number that haven't got any plans to bring out a mobile optimized version of their site. I recommend you take a look at your analytics, see how many people are already visiting your site on mobile devices, and there are a bunch of low-cost solutions such as theirs that will let you start to get some experience in creating a mobile optimized version of your website.
Okay. Well, for purposes of our listeners, we've been visiting with Sean Ryan. Sean is the CEO of SLI Systems. SLI, of course, is a leading site search, e-commerce, and other site search solution, very familiar to many e-commerce merchants. That site is, Sean's company's site is SLI-systems.com. That's SLI-systems.com. And Sean Ryan, the CEO of SLI Systems, we want to thank you for your time today, sir.
Thank you very much, Kerry.
That's all the time we have for this week's e-commerce conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tune in next week for another new episode.